Hey, how are you? Welcome back to Donnie Did. Matt is back.
Fucking back, baby.
You like to film. He's filmed a bunch of my shit. You don't love the editing side of it that much, right?
I gotta say, for anyone doesn't know about editing is a very, it's a very tedious task. It's a very monotonous task, and it's a very much a sit in front of the computer and do stuff task. And I don't have the attention span for it, honestly. So I can't get into it.
Like, I enjoy doing it, but it's definitely, it's more similar to like a cubicle style job than most parts of what I do. You know, a lot of people sit down at a computer all day and look at Excel spreadsheets. Some days I'll just sit down and look at Adobe Premiere. I don't think I'm great at it, but I know the story I'm trying to tell. So I don't know how to make my videos look super fancy, but I know like what jokes I want in it and everything like that. And like,
Yeah.
I'm still a little controlling over the editing. Like, even now that Donnie would do some of the rough drafts for me, but then he would always just hand me over the rough draft, and I still need to go through, and because I don't think, like, I got to make sure like all the jokes hit, make sure like if he's throwing in music, I kind of want to have final say whether like I want those songs in the video or whatever. But there are like sometimes it's actually nice to just hand over the reins sometimes. I made some cooking show vids when I was back at the Barstool office over the summer, and this guy Tom Lay, who works there, he did all of the editing.
Wow.
And he fucking like I couldn't have done what he did. He made it look like an actual cooking show.
Today at Barstool Sports Headquarters, two Donnies will compete in a head-to-head wing-off. One is a trained chef with his own catering business.
I'm here to win it.
The other makes crab rangoons.
I'm a very niche chef. Is it niche or niche?
They'll be judged by a panel of Barstool's most esteemed wing connoisseurs
Mustard comes from seeds?
in a showdown between boss versus intern, man versus child, sunglasses versus headband. Who will be this week's top Don?
I was impressed. Like, I can't do those types of edits.
The thing about editing as well is the other thing that you'll probably appreciate after having Donnie here for such a long time as well is the initial editing, the initial going through all that footage and pulling out all the good parts is literally the hardest part.
It's just, it's the most
monotonous,
mind-numbing and the most time-consuming part.
But once you've got a kind of a linear thing going, that part can be quite fun. When you're
Yes,
like, okay,
yeah.
right, how am I going to change the story and make it kind of look a little that can start to get quite fun. But it's that initial sit down, open up the new thing, and then you're like, right, I got to trail through all this goddamn content to find that one shot. That's the part that kills me the most. Like, I just can't do it.
Yes, no. So that was a great thing about having Donnie out here. I would always have him do the first comb through the footage.
Yeah. The hard part.
Yeah, the hard part. It works out most of the time. There was like a couple of times I'm like, hold up. Like after the video came out, I was like, wait, this was never on the timeline. This is a fucking great part, but you didn't include it. I think that only happened like once or twice. But yeah, once you just have the fucking meat and potatoes just to work with, that's good. But you have to fucking trim a lot of fat your first time going through, and you have to look at every fucking thing you filmed, because after a day you forget like if there could be something good in that clip or not.
I guess the point being, I'm back and I'm not doing editing. But what's our topic for today, Donnie boy? What are we talking about today?
A whole bunch of shit. First, I want to talk about my IEs, my cleaning ladies.
Oh, these two are the stuff of legends.
But the thing is, I honestly feel like most observers who watch my videos only know about who I eat. And the thing is, I have two cleaning ladies, and it's a very long story.
Get into it. I want to hear it.
So when I first moved out here, I was living with this guy, Steve, and he had a cleaning lady named Gao Ai. This is Gao Ai? 对对 And you guys have met her before. 好久不见。
好久不见。
对啊 God.
哎呀，我忘了这个。
She's like my Chinese mom, my Zhangguo mama. So I brought Francis to her house.
又给他。
对，这个是我的朋友。
我是 Francis.
But he's not my boyfriend. He's just a friend. Can you just like not act gay? Because like it's kind of weird. Like I'm bringing like a guy back to Ma. I don't want her thinking like I'm your boyfriend.
Okay.
And she was a pretty solid cleaning lady, but she wasn't, bubbly and she wasn't like an on-camera personality like Huai was. And I would always go over to my friend's house. It was a friend I knew from college, and they had Huai. And Huai would come in super bubbly, just cracking jokes, really friendly. She would make us all food. And after like 2 weeks being there, I was like, yo, Huai is sweet. Like, can we just hire Huai? My friend was like, maybe. Let's have her come for like a practice run at our apartment. And then, yeah, maybe we'll just fire the other one and just hire Huai. And so Huai came to his apartment to do a practice run, just clean the apartment once. And while she was there cleaning, the other IE, Gao IE, showed back up at the apartment because she forgot her jacket there, her shirt there. And she just burst into tears because she saw the other cleaning lady there and was like, I have been replaced. I forget if I've shared this story before. Sorry if I have. But I wasn't even at the house, and people started calling me up, and my roommates, like, who also were new to China, and they were like, Gao Yi's on my bed right now, just in tears. What should we do? What should we do? I was like, I don't know. You got to call Steve. They called Steve. Steve was like, Steve talked to her. He was like, no. Don't worry. You're not being fired. You're not being fired. We just had another cleaning lady come once. So that was the end of that. We decided not to fire Gao Yi. And I'm happy that we didn't fire her. Gao Yi is a great cleaning lady. She is not like as much an on-camera personality, although she has been on camera a few times.
Goose in my basket?
No. Goose in my basket was Huai. Gao Yi.
Was that not Gao Yi?
Gao Yi.
Oh my God.
We went to Gao Yi's house for Chinese New Year. She invited us to her house for New Year. So I'm probably actually closer to Gao now.
I've definitely noticed that over the years that you and Guy seem to have like a more of like a family thing.
Yes.
Whereas Huai seems to be more like a business relationship. It's way more like that.
Oh, that's exactly how it's become the past year. Yeah, no, Gao Yi invited me to her house after Super Bowl Monday. So when you saw that scene when we're all just like having a feast at her house, that was Gao Yi. And now Huai, my friends used to complain that she was like, yeah, a very bubbly, nice person, but not the greatest cleaning lady. So my other friends ended up firing her at some point. But she was always down to be on camera. Like, I'd always hit her up, be like, hey, you want to come be in a video? I'll pay you whatever I was paying you to clean. And she was always down.
Rocking around the Christmas tree at the Christmas party.
But when I moved back to China, it started being like, I asked her, I was like, hey, you want to be in a video? She's like, yeah, I'll be in a video, but I'm going to charge this much. And it was pretty much triple her normal rate. But I mean, at this point, I'm working for Barstool, and triple her normal rate is obviously still a very reasonable rate. So I was like, yeah, like, sure. But all of a sudden, she just became like strictly business. And she's great. She'll show up. She'll be on camera, very bubbly, but once the cameras turn off, she's like, all right, where's my money?
Yeah, because didn't it used to be that she would come to clean and just like part of her cleaning schedule was, hey, let's shoot a video while you're here, and then she flipped that to being like, I'm not cleaning anymore.
Yeah, she's like, yeah, just fucking pay me and let's film. And she actually, she has started to cop like an attitude with me. We filmed last week, and she asked me, like, where are we going to film? Where are we going to meet? And I was like, maybe my apartment. I'm not sure. I'll let you know. And then I forgot about it and forgot to answer her for a day. And she sends me a message in Chinese, and I translate it using this translation app. And it translates literally to, where the hell are we meeting tomorrow? Like, is that even like a Chinese term? I don't know. I can show you the Chinese, but she has definitely started to cop an attitude. That's why I call her Hollywood Who, because she is just she's a star, you know, and she doesn't have time for no bullshit. But she is still great on camera.
She's not got time for the bullshit unless she's cleaning someone else's house, because she still cleans, right? She's not even an actress or anything like that.
She's not an actress. No, that's why I'm like, she's like very cocky about demanding a lot of money, and like, I'm happy to pay her more than like what she gets paid just to clean, because she's great on camera. People love her. Barstool can afford it, but she's like demanding probably 4 times her normal rate, and she's like just very, very confident about that. Like, yeah, you're going to pay me 4 times your normal rate. Maybe she has like, maybe she starts to read Barstool Sports and just sees people in the comment section sucking her dick. And now she's
or maybe
very cocky.
Or maybe she's.
I mean, that is not how she does not read Barstool Sports.
Yeah, that's a lot of English. But maybe she's Googled Baidu in China. Maybe she's Baidu'd salaries for extras in videos or something like that.
No, I think it was you. I think one time she was here and you go, oh, in Chinese, you go, do you know like 100,000 people sometimes watch your videos? So it's pretty much all your fault. But no, she was getting cocky even before you said that.
Shit.
No, but she's no. I mean, I still enjoy working with her. But the thing is, people are like, you should bring her to the U.S. You should bring her to the U.S. It would be fun to bring her to the U.S., but I would have to bring you to the U.S. too, because if she just came with me, she can't speak a word of English.
Needs a handler.
Like, my Chinese sucks. Like, a lot of people think my Chinese is good, but I would not be able to fucking handle showing her. Like, we can barely communicate. That's why I used that translator thing when she was here and Donnie was filming, which was a godsend. Because like if we didn't have that translator thing, it just would have been like awkward, like ting budong, ting budong.
I can get super awkward. The language barrier can get super awkward at times, man. When you just want to get something simple across, and then they think it's something more complicated.
Yeah, the one weird thing. So I'm moving back to the U.S. for the summer, and so now Huai is just the IE, the cleaning lady that will show up and just film with me when I'm making a video. Gao IE is my actual cleaning lady who cleans the apartment once a week. And I tried to tell her that I was like, I'm going back to the U.S. for maybe 3 months. You don't have to clean my apartment. And she was very offended. She pretty much was like, no, I'm sorry. Like, I can't be put out of a job. I have to still work those months. So now I'm going back to the U.S. and yeah, I will still be paying to have my empty apartment cleaned. She tried to pull on my heartstrings. She was like, but we are like family. Yeah. She's like, but we are family. You can't just stop paying family. And it's like, well, I haven't paid my older brother a cent in a long time. I was like, well, then if we're going to be paying you, you don't even have to come. It's just an empty apartment. She's like, no, I'll still come. And she's like, I'll find new things to clean. So I think she's going to clean like the window shades. She's going to clean like the inside of the fridge 5 times. So at least my apartment will be very clean.
Spick and span.
The second topic I wanted to talk about a little bit was whiteface jobs, which I've written numerous blogs about, but I don't think I've ever done a Donnie Did on it. So whiteface gigs are just gigs where you get hired just because you're a white dude, and it's like at a Chinese company, and they bring you on to make them seem more international,
Absolutely.
more worldly.
100% more international. They believe that if it's all a Chinese team, then the customers or the audience believe like, well, what are we getting from you that's different? As soon as you put a white person in there, they start to think, oh, we're getting that international thing, so we're going to get a little bit more knowledge from somewhere else. It's absolutely crazy, considering most of the white faces that they see are people like Donnie, who have just been hired to just go along there and say some scripts. They're not actually experts in the field. It's an incredible thing.
Absolutely not.
It's an incredible thing.
Yeah, I think on a past Donnie I did talk about when I got hired to be the operations manager of a fertility clinic. Oh, we talked about that because someone asked me what was my most like embarrassing, awkward situation in China.
What it was.
And that's when we talked about that.
That was hard to film.
Yeah, and Matt filmed that, and it was just fucking, I just had to lecture all these moms about like, they gave me a script and I had to like a 5-minute script and I had to memorize it and just talk about how like we have the best fertility clinic.
You had a great line. What was that line?
Oh, like we'll get you knocked up in no time. Yeah.
As I like to put it, we'll get you knocked up in no time.
That's not the only whiteface gig I've had though. Another one where I'd only been in Shanghai for like 2 weeks. Well, my friend hits me up and he's like, hey, I need 20 white dudes to get on a bus with me for the day, and you'll each get paid 1,000 RMB, which was around 150 US bucks. So I'm like, yeah, I'm down. I found 4 friends to hop on the bus with me. He was like dressed nice. So we wore like suits or at least like khakis and a blazer. And we drive to this movie theater on the outskirts of Shanghai. And there's a Chinese dude at the front who's wearing a neck brace. And he hands us, like when we arrive, he hands us like a stack of papers, which is a bunch of Chinese writing and then this one dude's face on it. And he goes, walk into the movie theater and start handing these out. And we were like, okay. We walk in, started handing them out. 10 minutes later, a bunch of police cars arrive. We're like, what the fuck is going? We got to get out of here. We just go and like hide down an alley. It turns out this guy was trying to extort the owner of a movie theater because he had gotten fucked over by like the owner or by the investors. I don't know. So this guy showed up with a bus of white dudes and told the owner of the movie theater, he's like, I'm showing up with all of my American investors and they demand their money back. So he was using us as like a tool to extort this guy.
Wow.
And at this point, I'm in China on like a tourist visa. I don't want to be talking to cops, like them being like, so are you guys actually like American investors like in this movie theater? And so we just fucking like run away and are like hiding in a fucking alleyway. And eventually like we see people getting back on the bus. We just run back on the bus and the bus takes off. But like that guy was wearing a neck brace too, because he was trying to claim he was like the owner of this movie theater hired some goons to rough me up and they like broke my neck. But it was clearly just like a fake neck brace too. And I was like, dude, I cannot get wrapped up in this type of bullshit. Like this is so illegal.
That's nuts. That's not even like a white-faced job. That's like a white-faced like attack on a company. That's not like a job. That's
Yeah, I mean,
nuts,
hey,
man.
maybe he was in the right and was just using us to help him get his money back.
I mean, yeah, who knows?
I have no
Yeah,
idea.
yeah,
I mean, I definitely wasn't in the right being there, pretending to be some like foreign investor.
you also didn't know that that's what you were going to do, right?
No.
Because a lot of these jobs, they don't tell you, right? You just turn up and you're just like, right, so what
And
is
my-
it I'm doing today? Right, that's a pretty rough one. I got one from many, many years ago where it's so weird. I was in a bar and we were drinking in a bar and the bar owner came, because we lived in a small town. And the bar owner knew us really well. He came to us. He's like, "Hey, my friend has got a company. He needs somebody to come and just, do some acting." And I was like, "Yeah, well, I'm quite interested in acting. I'd be quite interested to give that a try. I don't know. I'll come along." And basically, what he had us doing was, my brother was the CEO of a lighting company, and I was one of the salesmen. And they said the most important thing is that you come fully dressed in a suit. Everybody has to be dressed in a suit. I said, I don't have a suit. I've got a suit jacket and I've got jeans. And they're like, okay. I was like, so that's not a full suit, right? Anyway, so we get there and my brother had to sit at the end of this really long table full of all these professionals. And at the end, they sign a deal and everything. He's going to stand up and he's going to shake hands with them. Then there's a shot of me like selling lights to people and just talking about why these lights are better than these lights, but they gave me no inclination as to what lights they were or what I should say or anything. So I'm just like, I would choose this one. I mean,
They just
Look
point
at-
to some lights and be like, talk about those lights.
and I'm like, look at the orange on that light. That's a thing. And I mean, the sheer length of it, 1 meter, that's a big light. I mean, I had no idea what I was talking about. And these guys still paid us and they were just like shaking their hands like, thank you so much. You really done us a great service. Meanwhile, in my head, I'm like, I have no idea what just happened. And you go back to the bar again and continue about your day. White-faced job.
Was
man.
it like a sales fair or something like that where they just like,
No,
if we
no.
can get some white dudes saying some good things about our lights, it will help.
My bad for not explaining. They'd actually had customers come out to meet them, and we were the sales reps. We were the guys that were going to be there to meet them. It was really rough, and to us, it was really, really horrifically rough. To them, they were like, "Yeah,
Okay,
you've
'cause
really
these-
done a good job." And we were
Yeah,
like,
because the people who you were selling it to, were they Chinese?
yeah.
All
Also,
right, so they were just like, oh, sweet.
yeah.
This company seems super legit.
Super
They've got,
international. They've got a 21-year-old guy running the sales. They got a fucking 26-year-old guy. He's the CEO. I guess this makes sense.
Okay, yeah.
What? That was
Hey,
one of the
whatever-
weirdest. That was one of my weirdest ones. Anyway.
Whatever you got to do to close the deal.
Exactly.
But so when we did the fertility clinic video, we filmed it and posted it on YouTube. And Vice on HBO was coming out to China to do a piece on whiteface gigs. And they just saw my video on YouTube and reached out to me. And they were like, can you help us like find some whiteface gigs? We're bringing our host. You know that guy like Thomas Morton? He's like one of the biggest Vice hosts. He's that really small, scrawny dude. They call him Baby Balls. They're like, yeah, we're bringing him out. We need you to find him some whiteface gigs. And at that point, I was just working part-time. And they're like, yeah, we'll pay you a little bit. So I was like, all right, sweet. I might be on like a show on HBO and I'll get paid a little bit. I'm down. But as it turns out, you can't just go out and find whiteface gigs. They have to find you.
Yeah, that's right.
Like
right.
I think maybe 10 years ago, there were like some like job agents out here. Then their sole job was just finding white people for these fake whiteface gigs. But China's become more legit over the years, and they're not as common. They just have to randomly spring up. And this guy was like, we're just going to be in China for 10 days. We need to find as many whiteface gigs as possible. So I just start reaching out like to everyone. I put them in touch with loads of people. And one of the people I put them in touch with, they did find a fake doctor. They were looking for a white guy to pretend to be a doctor at this like prostate clinic or something. And so first Vice tries to submit a photo of their host, Thomas Morton, and they come back, they go, he looks way too young, we can't use him. So then they submit a photo of me. They were gonna have me be the doctor on this show on Vice HBO, and they said no, he still looks too young. So then Vice just puts out like a flyer in China looking for an older white dude to like be a fake doctor.
Man.
And then they found this dude up in Beijing who has been doing loads of these gigs.
So you could easily make a living off this. Just this.
Quite
Isn't
a-
it just like supplementary?
Yeah, quite a few people that I know do that. Yeah, it's all they do. I mean, I literally get 2 or 3 job offers a day.
But this guy is like your typical dude who just like ran away from the West because whatever, he had a criminal record. I think in his case, he used to be a heroin addict, but pretty much ran out to China and just started doing these whiteface gigs full time. And they sent in a photo of him and they're like, oh yeah, he looks great. Because this guy was like 55 years old. So it actually became the highlight of the episode. If you watch it, it's called Rent a White Guy. I think it's like whatever. I think it's episode 9, season 3. I have no idea, but just search HBO Rent a White Guy. They find this dude and he's a fucking weirdo. Like just you've met those really older weird white guys that have just like given up on their
Gave up on life, didn't you?
They gave up on their previous life out west and they just come out to China and are just absolute weirdos.
How much research do you usually do on this kind of stuff beforehand?
Oh, like none.
I had this producer from HBO out with me for a while, and it was funny. Like, you think it's like a big production. They're working for HBO, and they just send this producer out here who knows nothing about China, and he's literally relying on me for this like entire episode of TV. And like, I don't know if like I'm the most reliable guy, but I'm just trying to like hook him up with certain people. He's dealing with shit because then his film crew comes out and the host, and they're like, he's like, all right, we need to wake up tomorrow at like 7 a.m. to go and get the shot. And they're like, oh, no, we were filming all day yesterday. I don't want to wake up. And I talked to the camera guys and I talked to the producer. The camera guys hated the producer because the camera guys have been working with Vice for like 10, 15 years. The producer was hired like 6 months ago. So they hated the producer. The producer hated the cameraman. The host just didn't really fucking know what was going on. I was like, holy shit, this is how HBO television gets made. And it gave me a lot of confidence. I was like, hey, maybe someday I could make a show for HBO because it does not seem that complicated. This is a complete shit show.
Did you ever see the final product?
Yeah, I did see the final product. Actually, I have a cameo in the final product.
Oh, nice.
Because you've probably seen these like they send these mass text messages out to foreigners when there's a trade fair nearby. So there'll be like a construction working equipment trade fair or a technology trade fair or a sex toy trade fair, and they're held in these like third tier Chinese cities 3 hours like outside of Shanghai, and like they get all these different Chinese companies to show up and show off their product. And they assume they're showing off their product. They probably have to pay to have a booth. They assume they're paying to show their product off to foreign people who might want to invest in their companies or who might want to buy a lot of their product. But sometimes they do these trade fairs and like zero actual foreign businessmen, like they either don't market it or either they're just really shitty companies, and foreign businessmen are like, I'm not going to fly to China to go see this. So instead of finding real foreign businessmen to come to these conferences, they go to Shanghai, find a bunch of white guys, and they say, we'll pay for your whole trip. Plus, we'll pay you a little bit extra, and we'll get you a free stay in a 5-star hotel if you just show up at this trade fair and walk around. So I hooked Vice up with one of those, and me and the host went there and just walked around a trade fair for a day. And so I have when you arrive at the trade fair, they hand out everybody this fake ID, and you have a fake company that you're working for. And I like the ID that I got, I was a Filipino dude named Marsagon.
Last week I was a Canadian name call. This week I'm a Filipino named Marsagon.
So I've got to get these stamps.
It's like a scavenger.
I think.
You do look a little bit Filipino.
Yeah, and then once you're inside the trade fair, you don't like have to do anything. They do. I think they give you a couple actually like fake business cards, and they're like, yeah, if anyone asks, just like hand out these business cards.
Jeez.
And all you have to do is just walk around this fair and hand out the cards. So I have a short cameo. Maybe I'm like in the episode for 5 seconds or so.
I mean, it's so fucking interesting. Just the lack of organization from HBO on their part there, and then putting it all on you as well.
Yeah.
Has there been weirder ones though, or is that like the weirdest?
Well, that was just the weirdest about like how I got involved with Vice. Like they told me, we also want to do a segment. Find a couple foreigners out in China who have done a lot of these jobs. We'll find a really cool location in Shanghai, and we just want to film a scene where you guys talk about this experience for like a half hour. So I was like, oh, we should go to Captain's Hostel, which is it's a porch that overlooks the Shanghai skyline. And so we all show up, and I'm like, all right, we should probably do this around 7 or something. Like, I don't think we can make it till around like 9 or and so I was like, all right. So they all show up at 9. It takes them pretty much an hour to get all set up. We finally get all set up, and then at 10 o'clock in Shanghai, all of the lights of the whole Shanghai skyline turn off. So they fucking bring in all these people. They set it all up. We're all ready to talk. And then all the lights turn off. And they're like, oh, well, this isn't a good shot anymore. I'm like, yeah, that's kind of why I said we should meet at 7.
Classic white face job.
Yeah. And so then they still film it. They're like, well, it's too late to change. So they just bring in some lights, and it's just us like talking on a dark porch. So I was there for that whole scene. They maybe used like 30 seconds of it or like a minute, and like the only line of mine is I say exactly. So like I shared a lot of stories. I talked a lot. The only part of where I'm speaking during that entire conversation is me just going exactly.
China's trying to open up to the world, and they're trying to show people that we're global people, that we're global people, that we're global.
I bet you nailed the line though.
Oh, I nailed that line. No, but I found this. They were happy with the dudes. I just found people I knew who like loved to talk and had done a lot of these jobs. But yeah, in terms of those like the weirdest jobs I've done, yeah, I think so. I mean, I've been hired.
You were a professor at one point, right?
No, I was like a real professor. That was not a white face job.
No, but you're not a professor, so that's a white face job.
No, if you teach at a college, you're a professor. You don't need
no.
a PhD.
If you go through school and learn and become a professor, then you're a professor. You don't get to just go teach some shit and become a professor.
If you teach at college, you're a professor.
Oh my God! Right? Okay. Right. Sorry.
I think so. That was not a white face job. I fucking taught those kids. I taught those kids oral English. No, I had it was around Chinese New Year, and it was a KTV joint, and they needed people to dress up like
you worked at
dragons.
KTV?
They needed people to this was sponsored by like Budweiser or something, but they needed people to dress up like dragons, and just we had to just like walk into a bunch of different KTV rooms and hand out free beers.
No way. I was just at a birthday party recently where for the birthday party, the KTV people sent in a bear and a dragon holding drinks to give to everybody. And then they spend maybe about 4 or 5 minutes just kind of dancing around with you, taking pictures. Then they go. Was that you?
That was me.
Oh my God.
It was only, I think it was just like a 2-night job, or maybe it was just like a 1-night job for 4 or 5 hours. Yeah,
wow, man. That's not a white face job. You're in a suit, right?
Yeah, that's just like a clown job.
Yeah, you're just a clown. Yeah.
They were like, yeah, we can't find Chinese people to do this lowly
No Chinese
bullshit
person
work.
would do this. Let's find some
Why
foreigners.
did they want white people to do that? That is weird.
Because
we
you know,
were wearing costumes.
You know the Chinese.
No, but they
the
only
Chinese
hired
idea,
they only hired white people to do
yeah,
that.
because the Chinese idea of white people is that they're more outgoing. They're more willing
Dancing
willing
monkeys.
to do it. Dancing monkeys is a way better way to put it. But yeah, they're way more outgoing in the Chinese eyes. They're more willing to do stuff in Chinese eyes.
Yeah.
Whereas if they wanted to do something like that with a Chinese employee, I reckon they would have to really like this.
Yeah.
This is part of your job, and you must do this.
Yeah.
You'd have to really lay it on thick.
Is that about it? Oh, I've had another job. I think I can talk about this. Have you ever? It's called like EB5. I'm probably mispronouncing this. There's a program, and I think they maybe canceled it recently. But there used to be a program in the U.S. where if a Chinese dude invested either $500,000 or $5 million, he could get a green card to the U.S. If he invested that money into a U.S. real estate project or a U.S. company, all he had to do was just invest the money, and boom, he could get a green card. So all of these Chinese people were just, because it's hard to get a green card or a visa to the U.S. So,
to the U.S., right? Okay,
these are Chinese people who want to move to the U.S.
Got you.
And all they have to do is just invest. You know, I thought it was $5 million. I thought they had to invest $5 million and then they can get a visa. Someone said it might only be like $500,000, which is actually U.S. dollars, but still,
it's a lot.
$5 million is a lot, but there are so many crazy rich people in the U.S. that like $500,000 probably isn't that much to them in order to get a visa to the U.S.
All right,
which
see,
is huge.
in Scotland we don't have a lot of money. It's different.
Yeah, there's just like there's more millionaires in China, I think, than in the U.S. now, or something.
Or in the world, I think, now the way it is.
So this guy who worked for one of these companies, he was an American dude. He hired me. I had to go to Zhengzhou. I forget. I think I flew. Yeah, this was a day. I flew out in the morning. I showed up. It was a conference where they were advertising their services to a bunch of rich Chinese people. And they go, if you invest in our real estate project in New York City, you will get a U.S. visa. This is the real estate project. I showed up. I had to give a 5-minute speech, which I received when I arrived at the hotel.
Naturally.
And then they had a picture of my face up on this giant fucking, what's it called? A projector screen. Yeah. And they were like, and now our like VP of development, and it invited me on stage. I crushed the speech. For this 5-minute speech, he paid me 2,500 RMB.
That's not bad money.
It's not bad. It's like a little shy of $500.
That's nice.
And then I flew back. So this was like, I think I left at maybe 6 a.m. I got back around 10 p.m. And just like had to give a 5-minute speech.
So these whiteface jobs, like as I say, I only done the one, and you could almost say it was kind of an acting thing. Maybe not. It was very whitefacey job though. My question is for you especially is, how do you feel about it? Like, do you feel like it's cheeky for them to ask? Do you feel like it's a good easy buck, or like what's your feeling about it when you're doing it?
I just think it's hilarious, I guess. I mean, at first, I like when I hear about it, I was like, oh, hey, this is solid content right here. But no, it's definitely fucked up. But I don't know. I don't feel too morally wrong about it. I would feel morally wrong about it if you're like hawking some like service that doesn't exist, which reminds me, I did a whiteface vid for Barstool my first year with the company.
Hold up.
And filmed it all. No, you weren't filming this one. Actually, my girlfriend filmed this one.
Right.
So this was actually a very weird one. They needed me to arrive and give a speech to about 200 Chinese senior citizens. And I did this twice, once in Shanghai, once in a random third-tier city. What? And I had to hawk some sort of medicine, some sort of supplement that helps extend your life. And they like believe like, so I was going in talking to a bunch of like 70 to 90-year-old Chinese folk in this giant auditorium, probably like 300 people. I had to know my shit because they gave me a PowerPoint and it's like all these really complicated biology terms and stuff. I actually had to like learn the PowerPoint. But then I realized the first time I did it, I was like, dude, it doesn't matter if I'm just butchering. Like I could just be blabbering because not a single person there spoke a word of English.
Yeah, nobody knows what's going on.
But I would arrive and there would be a translator who translates everything I say. And the first time I went, I tried to do the PowerPoint like by the book, but even when I like went off key and just talked about random shit, like the translator just wasn't even listening to what I was saying. The translator would just translate exactly what the PowerPoint slide said, regardless of what I said. So then the second time that I went and did it, I just like, I was just going off the script.
Look at the man on the left. He looks like if Bill Cosby and Ryan Lochte had a child. What a physical specimen. And the woman on the right. She doesn't look a day over 60 and possibly came from Coachella.
I was just saying like the most absurd shit. I was like, if you take our supplement, you can be like a vampire and live forever. Haha. And like the translator, like she gives me this really weird look and she was like, all right, and just translates that word for word. Yeah. And it actually got some laughs.
One joke I like to say is that soon vampires will not be the only immortal beings. Wouldn't you all want to live forever?
那我跟大家开一个小玩笑，就是你们想像吃了唐僧肉一样长生不老吗？
So the product I was serving, I was hawking. It increases your levels of NADP, which I guess is a compound that helps your body live longer. And so I was dropping rhymes. It was like when your NADP is low, that means it's time to go.
A rhyme I have is that when NADH is low, it is time to go.
And the translator would still fucking translate that word for word. And this was also the episode, the video where halfway through my speech, I gave half of it just like talking somewhat normal, and then I just switched to a British accent halfway through.
I am Dr. Donnie.
And then I switched to a Southern accent for the end.
This is what the mitochondria looks like, sort of like a little jelly bean in there. Each cell contains hundreds of thousands of mitochondria, and there are 37.2 trillion cells in our body. So you do the math.
And I was just changing. I was having a lot of fun with it. Yeah. I walked on stage and I was like, I have a PhD in anti-aging, and one time I found the fountain of youth.
I got my PhD in anti-aging at Stanford, where I spent years searching for the fountain of youth and successfully found it.
I don't know what my...
You said that?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's brilliant.
We'll find the clip. We'll find exactly what I said, yes. But I think I mentioned that I had found the fountain of youth. But because I knew like people there, they literally just wanted to like see this white dude on stage. So you were asking me how I felt morally. That was pretty fucked up. But I looked into the product I was hawking, and it did say like, yeah, it is believed to actually like help old people. So I wasn't just selling them like some pseudoscience bullshit. It's not gonna, the way they were selling it, they were like, hey, if you want to like live much longer, take this. I don't think it helps you that much. It might extend your life like a year or two, but it was not a fake product. I looked into the product. It was not fake.
Yeah. No, I don't think I meant morally. What I was more looking for was like you as a person, when you have to go do these things and you got to stand up on these stages and you've got to say these things to people and you've got to pretend to be these people, the person you're trying to be. How does that make you feel? Do you feel nervous about it? Do you feel like this is fun? Do you feel like, oh, I don't care? Like, what's the feeling when you're actually going to do the job? Like, regardless of what the product is.
I mean, I would feel pretty bad about myself if I was doing that as like more of like a full-time job. I don't think I would feel great about myself.
Yeah.
Like now, and I haven't had an opportunity in a while, but like now when it comes up, I'm like, this would be a great opportunity
content.
for some content. But if I was doing it full time, I would not feel great about myself. I would rather just be like, okay, I'm like a full-time actor. All right, I'll go act in a commercial. But these aren't commercials a lot of the times. Like they're just like you're being brought on stage in front of a bunch of Chinese old people who think you're a doctor. That's what when I went and gave these talks in front of Chinese old people, they introduced me as a doctor.
Yeah.
Like
to clarify the difference, if someone's watching a TV show, you're watching characters, you know that they're actors, but when you're doing this kind of thing, the people who are watching are under the belief that you are that person.
Yes.
And that's not that is acting on your part, but it's lying to them.
Yeah.
So there's that part of it.
But I don't know. My translator hopefully just skipped over that line, but I have no idea.
Oh well, that's amazing.
I did those videos, I put them out, and I thought the person who got me that gig, it would have gotten back to her and she'd be like, holy fuck, we can't work with him anymore. But like a month later, I was offered another job.
Yeah, no, with the whiteface jobs, I just think like when you're a lot younger and you're doing these kind of things, it's good money, it's good, it's quick, it's fast, you get it done, it's kind of a cool situation to be in, you get costumes and stuff like that, and you do the thing, you get the money. And then you get a little bit older, you're starting to make your own money, and then it starts to be more like somebody offers you something like that, you'd be more kind of inclined to be like, yeah, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
You know, I'm all right. I make a bit of money now. I'm all right. It's kind of like being a waiter. If you're going to be a waiter, you're going to do it when you're younger. You want to be a waiter when you're older. You don't really want to be doing that so much. It's kind of like that in China.
Let's not shit on waiters here. It's worse than being a waiter, I would say, than just like tricking these. I mean, a waiter provides
there's
a very
definitely nothing worse
service.
than being a waiter.
I didn't mind being a waiter.
I was a chef for years, then I was a waiter for years, and I hated the entire thing. So maybe I'm biased.
I didn't enjoy being. I was a waiter in like a college town at one point, and like no one there knows how to leave a tip, so I hated it for that reason.
Exactly. So I would rather be doing these crazy whiteface jobs.
You're not relying on tips. You just go.
You just go
spew out a bunch of bullshit and get paid.
I'd be more down for that. My point being, I think it's just something that is great when you're younger and you're trying to just find your way, get a little bit of money. As you get older, they become a little bit more. They're a little bit more taxing of you to be up there lying and saying all this stuff.
And also, if you're watching this, don't think that you can just come out to China and get like a full-time job doing these fake whiteface jobs, because they are becoming increasingly harder to come by because just people in China are becoming smarter.
Yeah.
Like now, before you trot a white person on stage or you trot them into like a business meeting, just everyone's gonna be like, oh wow, this guy has to be legit. Now they're a lot more keen, a lot more suspicious.
A lot more traveled. They're a lot more traveled. They get it. They get that there's a lot more things going on in the world. Although I would say, just not to really go against you there, Donnie, but
they're a lot more hip to the fact.
Smaller towns here.
Yeah.
You'd still be getting those whiteface jobs.
If you're looking for these bullshit whiteface jobs, go to a third-tier city. So in like Shanghai, Beijing, Guangzhou, they're not as common. But if you go into one of those...
Into the boondocks, into the bumfuck.
Yeah. But like a small Chinese city, I still mean like a city of 10 million people.
Yeah.
But yeah. So they still exist there. But here, as a white guy, if you walk on stage at a business conference, there's going to be a lot of Chinese people giving you the stink eye, being like, look at this fucking dude. He is so full of shit.
I would like to see this guy's identification and qualifications, please.
This guy was probably working a landscaping job back in the States 3
Hey,
weeks
bro,
ago.
did you just finish your English class?
Yeah. So a lot of people are hip to the fact that it's complete bullshit here, but I mean, there are other parts of China. But
I'm willing to bet you could build a career if you just traveled smaller tier, smaller cities in China. You could build a career for sure just doing whiteface jobs, I reckon.
I don't recommend it. But
don't recommend it.
If you do ever end up in China, and if one of these jobs, comes across your plate, I would take it, because it's a pretty fucking absurd experience.
It's also quite harmless as well. Most of the time, it's pretty harmless. Nobody gets hurt.
Yeah.
And you make a little buck, and it's very fast, and they treat you like a king most of the time, and then you're out.
A gig's a gig.
A gig's a gig.
Zai Jen.